Well, good morning, everybody. It is 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to today's webinar on how to benefit from state-of-the-art production software. We're really honored to have Nella Klopotek with us today to lead us in this. She has some really cool software to talk with you about and hopefully help address questions and needs that you have in your business. My name is Therese Brown. I am going to be your basically little webinar behind the scenes facilitator for today. We are going to handle questions through one of two means, the question and answer function that you can see and or the chat function. So if you have a question, you have a comment, please put that in either one of those. I'll be monitoring those throughout the webinar, and we will questions that come in the middle of and need to be addressed in the middle of, we're going to stop and Nella will respond to those. But otherwise, we'll handle most questions at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Nella and she can get started.
Great. So yeah, hello also from my side. I'm very happy to be here today. And I will tell you a little bit about what we can or what we do and what we can do to support your business and what we do with ACP in a partnership. So I'm going to show my screen. I will do a very quick introduction by slides, but because the heart is in the application itself, I will dive in there. As Therese said, please feel free to have any question. If you have any question, to just post it and then we come to it. So very, very briefly about us, who we are. We are a software publishing software provider for the last 30 years. We started in Germany, but by now we have an international business and we support the entire supply chain with our software. So from everything regarding planning and production, title management, editorial, production, marketing, sales, contract rights and royalties, we can support you with and help you with. What I will focus today is really the editorial part, because we decided we are very grateful that ACP decided to have us in a partnership where we offer you as a member a special deal on our Editorial Cloud. So I will come to the commercials later, but the first off is really how can we support your business. So we have a product line which is web-based and we call it Stream, and it's available in our cloud system. And what that means is that it is a shared system which is cost-effective, sustainable alternative to operate your system on-premise or to have really editorial system that supports you with your needs. Don't worry, it is obviously very secure and your data is really just available to yourself, and it is provided on a high level of security, and you can really easily just take it, go away with your editorial processes and help use it to help your daily business. Very important to say is what we are focusing on today is really our public cloud, which is based on a best practice configuration, which we build out of our experience. So we are a software provider really just focusing on publishing, and we build everything we have as solution in development partnerships with our customers, which really range from, yes, big publishers like HarperCollins, but also smaller publishers down to really just 3 to 5 seats. So for example, especially our public cloud is used in the UK by a lot of university presses such as Bristol University Press or Edinburgh University Press, but also Wales. And in the US, some of our customers are, for example, our Daily Bread Ministries, Moody Publishing I think Moody for the last 15 years. Orbis is one of our publishers, so we really vary, and in order to support all of them, we have a best practice configuration. We had a lot of experience and let all of this go into our cloud solution. So that's from what we do, and now we really want to focus on you and what problems you may have and what your pain points are. So in the discussion before with Teresa and my colleagues, we said, what is really, how can we support you best, and what are daily issues you may encounter, such as, do you have issues with using ONIX 3.0? I mean, ONIX can be very complicated, and it is for some a terrible topic. So we put really a focus on ONIX 3.0 and the according the export of your metadata correctly into our cloud system, that it can handle these problems for you and support you there where maybe the expertise is lacking. It's able to, you can easily create flyers, or sometimes it's difficult to create flyers, especially if you work with like Excel and FileMaker, to get all of your metadata into flyers, and you have redundancies and issues with checking. So with having a system which holds your metadata, like easy creation of flyers and ad hoc reports may be easier. Is it a problem of workflow? Do you want to have a workflow support that really is tailored to your daily business and can support you step by step through your editorial processes? And then very importantly, I think in the current time also to make your life easier is, does your metadata fit to the market standard? Partly to ONIX 3.0, but also does it really have the quality to be accepted from the various distribution platforms? Then yeah, would you like to also be able to have one central system where you can store all your digital assets you have to your products? So these were questions we had where we see with our customers that there are often a lot of problems occur, or that the daily business is just made a little bit more tricky by not having a system that supports you. And that would be it from the introduction. And I would like to give you a little bit an insight in how we took these pain points and decided to tackle them with our solution. So I'm going to switch from PowerPoint into our browser. As I said, it's a browser-based software, and I'm landing on my I'm on my login landing page. You see here by these various rectangles, these are the modules we offer, and where we have an option. I have a wide range of variety of like contract modules, but also editorial modules, just as a login as a power user. And I'm going to give you an insight in really the heart of the business, the editorial process, how to create a new title and how to manage all your metadata. So I'm going to open our title lifecycle manager, which is the machine engine of your process. And you see on the left-hand and right-hand side, you have central navigations, where you have all the functionality as creating new titles, new series, new sets, everything you really need. I have my user customized list, such as bookmarks and recent activities. So the bookmarks is something we have in our system where you can really, as a user, define what I'm currently working on, or what is something I want to have as a deep link. Recent activities is really like browser history. So everything I worked on is available. And you also see this, you can directly search for your titles. So if I go for the wildcard, you see that in our sales environment, I get like 3,500 titles. And if I reduce this to one, for example, an author, you can see I immediately get like 77 results, and then I can dive in and call up the title. I also have this on the right-hand side, so it's quite handy to always be able to jump from one title to another, or to look up information easily. So this is a central navigation. Just let us dive right in and create a title, because that's the heart of doing doing your editorial process. So we have a couple of configuration mechanisms where you can really define your company structures and your teamwork. In this case, I work in our company group USA with a US ownership, and I want to start a title from a draft idea. Just really the first couple of steps where I'm maybe have a first idea I want to run by my editorial board or by my team colleagues. You also see here that I have a list of possible templates. So if I choose now my draft hardback for my imprint publishing, I select a template on which I design on which I create the new titles. So the idea behind is that we work a lot with templates in our system, which you also can create yourself, to make it easier to fulfill certain standards and to make to be more efficient in your processes. So what that means is that a lot of information gets pre-populated based on this template. That reduces errors, but it also makes your life faster and easier. So you see, for example, here all the business units, divisions, subject groups, my imprint, version type, the edition number, language, all these informations as metadata is already pre-populated, that I can really just focus, for example, on the title. So I call this ACP webinar demo, and I can add my originator. So in this case, I just select an author. You also see you can really choose out of complex drop-downs the type of originator you want to add. And we have an included business partner management. So with our software comes a complete CRM suite where you can really manage your business partners. And I'm just gonna look for my favorite author, Maxi Bleibtreu, select her out of my business partner pool, and can link immediately my title to this author. I just define her as the first author. And then I go down, generate a short title, which I mark as a working title because maybe I want to change it in the process of working on it. The other information, responsible persons, is pre-populated. I can define maybe when I plan that this title is coming out, and maybe I set a classification. So we support obviously the industry standards with FEMA and BISAC. And we have a very handy lookup for these tables because some of you know sometimes classifications can be a little bit more tricky. So I can easily look here for like a keyword, expand the table, and then see really my FEMA codes, and can easily just select the ones I think fitting to my title. I put the FEMA codes in. I can maybe already add a couple of text or biographical notes if I have maybe a price idea, and if it is an adaptation, I can add the original title, some information regarding extent, but it is really reduced because it's just a draft. And the idea behind it is, I mentioned this in the beginning, that one pain point we see with a lot of our customers is that they want to have a workflow supporting them while creating the metadata, but in our industry, it is the case that you can have a wide variety of metadata available, and sometimes it's very overwhelming. So we said we really want to strip down our first step, and you see now after saving it, I also get my workflow. My first step, my draft workflow step, really just has the essential metadata to have an idea in the system to discuss it with my team. If I go now and one step further, I can here modify my status and go into my next workflow step. We have our workflow. This is the Klopotek standard. As I said, it's built on our best practice experience with our customers. It can be customized, but most times it already fits good to your needs. So if you're interested in adapting a little bit more, that's not a problem, but in general, we go with our best practice standard. So I just pushed it through the next step. You saw I could have added like an approval note for my history and say like why I'm going to the next step. For demo, I keep it simple. And you see that my UI matured. So there was an idea when we developed this workflow-driven title lifecycle manager, that we really wanted to have the UI mature with your process, so that by every step you go, more metadata comes is available in the UI, and with that becomes relevant for you to take care. And as long as you're in the first draft, you don't have to deal with certain things you then have in later steps. So in this case, I get additionally my estimation data. So my first idea is really to say, next to my draft metadata, I want to have a little bit of information regarding my various distribution channels and what I expect there. So I could go into edit and, for example, add a distribution channel where I say, okay, expect in special sales, certain numbers, or in trade in this year and the next year. So I can already define a little bit my channels, and then also export all of this as a fact sheet to my colleagues, for example, to take it to a team meeting and discuss the idea to move it forward. So in this case, I have here on the header the availability to create or choose out of templates my fact sheet, and then design this, export this as a PDF and Word. And what happens is that because all the metadata is held in the system, you can easily pull it out and merge it just with your existing templates. So if I open the PDF, you see here, now I have a good PDF to share with my colleagues holding the most relevant metadata for this status. Let me just switch very briefly into a more mature title to show you a couple of more functionalities. So I will switch into a title I prepared for this webinar with the same author. I'm asked what kind of workflow I want to go in. You see that we also have audio available, where we tailored really the metadata to audio productions. In this case, I go with, because it's a traditional hardcover, I go with our standard, and you see I'm already one step further. So in this case, if I switch now into edit mode, you see that instead of having 2 tabs, I have a lot more of metadata I can manage, because in the status of forthcoming, I already can really dive into, for example, my sales details, where I can define my various pub dates, or can generate my ISBN out of a configured pool. I can define custom pub dates if you have something like this. I can define the availability to really tailor to the market. So we have a lot more of metadata information, from sales over extent information, over if it is belonging to a series or set. You can set this here. You can obviously manage your classification. Additionally, we now have a lot more of blurb text available, from short description, main description, table of context. You can define catchwords, and so on. And then, yes, we also still have the estimation data in. So the UI matured a lot with going into the next step, and that's the process of the further on. Additionally, we decided that not just that we want to make the metadata available, we also want to include automated quality checks. So you see in this case, I have a little exclamation mark, and when I click on it, it opens up my warnings and blockers regarding my quality checks. So we have an engine behind that checks in each step if the metadata fits to the standards which are required for this moment. The quality checks are based on ONIX 3.0, and in general should support you to be able to export your metadata without having worries or being concerned that you maybe missed something, that something was changed, and now you have issues regarding sales because the export or the metadata didn't fit to the standards. So in this case, I see I have a warning. In this case, I haven't filled out my Arabic pages, and they're not bigger or not bigger than 0. And I have a blocker. So we differentiate between warnings. These are just like, it would be nice to take care of, but it doesn't stop you from moving forward. The blockers really stop you from moving forward. So you cannot push the title further in the workflow until you take care of the blockers. In this case, is my cover picture really included for the export? Because if I export all my metadata, I want to have this included. So I can easily just go here on the right-hand side into my quality navigation, and then, for example, go to the field where I have to enter my page numbers. It goes in, scrolls down, gives me a little exclamation mark, and I can say, okay, my product has actually 250 pages, and then my extent is 265, and I can save the data. That's really a very helpful tool to deal with your metadata, and to know that there is a check behind that really makes sure that your distribution platforms get the right information. So the next part is that my cover picture is not included for export. For this, I have a digital asset management. We especially in the current time of Corona, we decided to build in a couple of functionalities that make working with our system as a team easier. And one part of it is obviously to have a shared source of information where you can attach various formats, files, and details, in this case, the cover picture, and I can mark it for export. But you can also, if I upload new files, you can also do email communication, contract information, logos, manuscript, everything you want to really share with your team, you can hold in the digital asset management. And then it doesn't matter if some of your colleagues work remotely or work in the office, you have one central station or one central location where you store this data. An additional part we said is regarding communication, because especially in the last couple of years, I go down the hallway to ask my colleague regarding something or remind my colleague of something got more difficult. And in order to keep track of this, we built in an automated task assignment or ad hoc task, as we call it. So to each product you create, you can also create additionally tasks. So in this case, I have for my title, I have 2 tasks, one for my colleague Victoria, who's unfortunately sick today, one task for my colleague Björn, regarding, in this case, the author wants to discuss copies and it's a high priority. I define a due date and I tell him that he should take care of it. Victoria has, for example, something where she needs to upload the cover picture. And I can easily just create more, choose who's assigned, set a priority, set a status, and then have my overview on the left-hand side. If something is assigned to me, I always have this here available in the side menu. So let me just move a little bit the go to webinar, and you see here, these are all my delegated tasks, but also my hot tasks, so that I can really keep track on what I need to work on and what my colleagues got as task assigned by me. So this is a little bit an overview of how we manage the metadata. And now you may ask, this is great, but we have colleagues who don't really want to go into the area where they just have to manage the metadata and they just want to look up information. And it becomes more difficult to really share the information regarding our products. And for this, we designed not just the workflow-driven day-to-day management tool, but we also designed dashboard apps. So where you can have a central location where information can be looked up. So I'm going to call up this title in our product 360, which is one of these dashboard apps focusing on product information. The idea is really that in this case, you have user-specific dashboards where you can, if it's loaded, it's a little bit hiccupy today, my apologies, where you can see here as these blocks various content chunks. So we decided to hold that we not just want to hold in our system a lot of information, but that we want to make it transparent for all our users. And in this case, I called up my quality dashboard, which really gives me a deep dive look into the metadata quality of my title. So I have a little bit the main product information. I do have my content, but mainly I see in a general overview my quality status. I see that there is still quality issues, and I can also drill really down where are issues. So for example, I see here's my export warning, here's my warning regarding the pages, and if I now trigger my quality check after having fixed both in the title lifecycle manager, I see hopefully that my title is now good to go for the next step. So yes, all my open issues disappear, everything is green, and I can basically submit my title to approval. This is a very specific dashboard. It helps for monitoring where your product stands, and we also have this on a high level where you can run quality checks over multiple titles. Now you may say, this is great, Nella, but I want to actually have a general editorial overview and not just a deep dive. And for this, I just switched my template. So you can see here, I have it's our sales environment. So we have a lot of public dashboard templates, but also my private dashboard templates that can range from the various topics. And in this case, in my general editorial overview, I get a lot more of these so-called widgets. So I can see, yes, down my main product data, but I also have my originator information. I see which contracts are assigned to this title. I have scheduled tasks, for example, of our product management tool, series hierarchy, and. So I have a way bigger dashboard, and it can be shared with my team, but I can also tailor it completely to myself, and with this make information transparent in my organization. And now a question we discussed also earlier as a pain point is, it's great to have the information available on a dashboard, but how do I get it out, right? Export is a big topic. It's a complicated topic because it has a lot of technology-driven terms, and it can be difficult if you don't have a software that really can support you with your needs. So in this case, we included in our editorial apps, we included export mechanism where you can do ad hoc exports and flyers. For example, I can choose here from my generic XML to an ONIX 3.0 to a fall flyer, or for example, an HTML landing page, choose my output format, and then just run an export, an ad hoc export on this title information. So in this case, I can see here that my HTML landing page is loaded, and that I have here now, based on the template I put behind in my system, I have a HTML landing page with the necessary metadata information. Now you say, this is great, but I want to do maybe a catalog export, or I want to not just do it on one title, but on 7 to 10 to 100, because I want to send this out to a prospect, or not prospect, but to like a licensee, or in what form as well. So you can do these ad hoc exports also on our search list. So if I go now searching for my favorite author again, I can select here all the titles I have with her, and then trigger the same little icon on the top right. And in this case, I have the same dialog, just get the warning that where ISBNs and article numbers are missing, the export cannot be done, but this is fine. I can choose, for example, my generic XML, or let's say ONIX format, define my file name, and then I can either run it immediately, where we have a maximum of 200 just for performance, or I can schedule a batch, and the batch is basically when it's running, putting the file in our download manager, where you can then pick it up and distribute it further the way you want to. Now the question is, do we also have automated distribution of these files to your distribution platforms? Yes, we do. So I switch in my main menu to our metadata export manager, which is the heart behind these exports I just showed you. So that here you can see all these templates I showed you in the selection, where I can really define what the template should cover in the export. I can put, for the ones who like dealing with this, I can put my transformation sheets. So I can really put my XSL sheets and my style sheets behind, that it looks the way I want it to look. Obviously, we can also support you with this, but it gives you the full functionality if you want to handle it. We have the monitor where we have the download manager available, and where you can see what kind of exports you run. And this is really, I think, especially in current times, the important part. We have an area where you can monitor all your feeds. So in this case, you can schedule the export, which runs through your title data you select and specify, and then takes the file and delivers it to the various distributors. And we, in our public cloud offer, we support over 50 various distribution channels supporting the standard, so that you can, for example, address Amazon US or Ingram or Apple iBook Store, whatever you need, and then also see here the history and the schedule feeds, what's running, and how your files get delivered. So this is a very rough overview. I hope I was not too fast of what we can do in the editorial part. And I would very quickly go back to our slide sets to do a recap. So what, from the pain points I said earlier, what we encounter in our current time or in our daily business, that this to have a workflow that guides you step by step through the daily business can really be helpful, that the software supports the user and that the user doesn't have to learn the software, and that the user interface grows with you and with your processes, and that you do not have to tackle a desert of 150, 200 metadata fields and find the one you actually need to manage. We hope that our software can support you in teams better, that we adapt to the current needs of remote working without losing the personal touch, but also without losing information. So to have a one shared source of information for everyone. The integrated quality checks make your life hopefully easier regarding metadata, and really to make sure that your metadata, when it gets exported, fits to the ONIX 3.0 standard. And then obviously something to handle your exports and make your exports easier, especially if you do not have the expertise or the details to have a system that really supports you there and makes sure that the export is handled fine. That's the solution, how we address pain points. And yes, yeah, here comes the sales pitch. I mentioned this earlier, we have a special offer for ACP members, and we are super happy that we can do this with you. I showed you the things which are highlighted, or the names which are highlighted in honey colored, the apps I showed you, and in our public cloud offer, the standard basic version in Editorial, you see you have much more modules available. So I gave you a glimpse in, but we have more regarding your CRM business or Klopotek Analytics for exporting information. You have detailed apps for handling your classifications, blurbs, sales, really in detail. So there are more functionality to explore. And we offer this as a public cloud with a 4-week free trial. So it's not you can do a test run before you buy it. So you have a 4-week trial period where you can really go into a special for you setup or for ACP members setup system to test it out, to see if the navigation feels right. You get a training every day for 2 weeks if you want to, but you also have a specialist who is always available for you, our sales cloud manager, service cloud manager, who provides you with answers if you have questions. And on a regular basis, we normally do like a Q&A session once a week, but we can also answer questions ad hoc if something comes up. We do have a lot of online training sessions for detailed functionality, and of course you join our community so that you can exchange knowledge and shared experience with other users. And for US ACP members, we offer this special deal that you get 2 full users and 1 read-only for $400 per month, and every additionally would be $75 per month, and that we waive the setup and project fee in the beginning. So these are the very subtle commercials. That would be it from me. I hope I am in time. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to do so. If you would like to see some more, I'm very happy, but you can also contact me or my colleagues via this email, and we have a dedicated landing page for ACP Cloud members or for ACP members where you can really go into the details and see see the offer if it's relevant or interesting for you.
Nella, thank you. That was very instructive. And just so you all know, especially if those of you who have other colleagues who are going to be interested in knowing more about this, the session has been recorded, so you will be able to share that with other colleagues within your group, especially when it comes to a software decision. I know there's often multiple decision makers in that process, so that should help. And Nella, you've been incredibly brave, so it should be a very easy thing to share. And thank you for the great offer to our members, but also just the support that you're offering in terms of being there for questions and available for that kind of stuff. I think that's a really helpful thing for our folks. Are there any questions? We currently don't have any, but if there are, we're going to hang out for a minute or two and see if there are. Just some follow-up things. As I mentioned, the session's being recorded, so all of you will receive it automatically after it's available. And for the few people who signed up but didn't attend, they will also be receiving it. But if you know folks, especially those of you who are in the editorial peer group, if you know folks who aren't here and you're not sure if they thought to come, this will be available on our webinar page at the ACP website. It's basically catholicpublishers.org/webinars, and it's under resources. So it will be there forever. That's where it will live permanently. So please feel free to visit that as well. And unless there are any questions, I don't see any. Nella, any last minute thoughts that you want to share? You did such a great job and such a thorough job with that demo. I hope folks really take advantage of it.
No, I'm happy to be here today, and it was very nice chatting with all of you, or to be able to show you how we may help you with our solution. Otherwise, as I said, you can just shoot me an email, go via the webpage. There's also like a panel where you can put in questions, and otherwise you can also go via ACP if you have anything. And just check it out. As I said, it's we do a 4-week free trial, no commitment there, and we also have a lot of additional information if you want to have more details on the various modules. So
great. Okay, well, it looks like we are all set for today. Thank you once again for coming and for sharing this time. I know your time is valuable, so I hope that you gather some information that will help you to further the business that you're in and to make your editorial work more efficient and effective. We look forward to seeing you at the next webinar, which probably will be later in the summer, since we're diving into summer here in the US, and that means slowdowns and some people on shorter weeks and lots of people on vacation in August. It seems to be, it's a very Midwestern thing, as a matter of fact, for those of you who are from that area. So we will talk to you sometime in the near future. Thank you once again. Nella, thank you for your time and for the time that you put into this. Look forward to seeing you the next time.
Thanks for having us.
Goodbye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.